Thanks, Justin. Well, November is Adoption Awareness Month, and Commissioner Lawrence Weekly is here in studio with us talking about his personal adoption story. You're going to be doing a podcast and talking about, what, a 6-part series about
this? It's a 6-part series, Dana. I'm really excited. I feel honored that I've garnered up the confidence and the strength to just really be able to talk about it. So here we go.
And I think that's what's interesting is you really haven't talked about it much. And you said that even as a young boy, what, 10 years old, you overheard a conversation and you picked up that you were adopted and you didn't even know what that was.
Didn't even know what it was until I went to school and asked my teacher, could you explain to me what adoption means? And when she explained it to me, a lot of fear and a lot of areas of concern set in. And so I just kind of went through my life quiet, not telling my family I knew.
Yeah, and I was going to say, so I had talked to you and I said, you know, are your adopted parents still alive? You said no, they passed, and they never knew that you knew, right?
Right, they never knew that I found out. Yeah.
How does that make you feel? Is that do you wish that you would have told them, or
I
is
wish
it better that way?
I wish that we had that conversation, and so it's my hope that parents who have children that are adopted, don't be afraid to tell them. It's so important to be able to identify with your roots, and so I don't live today with any regrets. Those two people who saw fit to give me a home and to open up their hearts at the ripe old age of 11 months old, that's when I was adopted. They did their job, and I'm forever grateful for that.
And you said you have met your real parents? Did you
I got a chance to meet my biological mother, and it was a blessing because here's someone who could have gotten rid of me when she found out she was having me, but she couldn't afford to keep me, and so she gave birth to me, but she signed me over. I became a ward of the state. And so to be born at UMC and to be the chairman of the board of UMC today, talk about a full circle moment.
Unbelievable. Yeah, and you were even saying growing up that you said you were good in school because you were always worried you were going to do something wrong and be sent back somewhere.
Yeah, I was too afraid when I was a kid to get in trouble because I thought if I get in trouble, they'll take me back to the adoption people. That's just kind of how ignorant I was to what adoption really meant. Yeah.
So what will you'll be talking about all these things in the podcast, and you said it's going to be a series of things, and it's just really for Adoption Month, just to get the information out and make people feel comfortable about talking about it?
The whole thing is really, Dana, to really, I'm using my voice and my platform to really help many of those kids and adults out there who are still living in fear and shame. I lived for a long time embarrassed that I was adopted to even tell anyone. That was a thing that set in for me as well. And so thank you to Swell Story Media who helped me produce this podcast. It's a 6-part series. I'm excited about it and hope that it'll be a blessing to somebody else out there.
All right, so it's November 15th in a couple days here,
and
you can go to thelawrenceweekly.com. It's called Relative Unknown. We think you turned out just great.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Well, thanks for doing this. I think it's going to help a lot of people.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Stay with us, Rebecca. While Thanksgiving is a little over a week away, can't believe that, many people are already thinking ahead to Christmas and starting their holiday shopping.
Yeah, so a lot of people sometimes, they stress out, what should you get? So maybe they should perhaps turn to technology, maybe as an idea.
Yeah.
And ABC's Marcy Gonzalez now has a look at some of the top tech gifts for the season.
Hey, Vicky. The latest in technology could be the greatest gifts under the tree this year. New, innovative gadgets on the market in time for the holidays.
They solve problems that you didn't think existed or you didn't know you needed one until you got one.
For the exercise enthusiast, Fitbit going far beyond counting steps with its new smartwatch, the Ionic.
It has features like Fitbit Pay.
And headphones can be a big hit, from wireless models to these from Aftershocks worn outside of the ears. And for some indoor ideas, Amazon's unveiled new models of its Echo, from the Echo Show with its digital monitor to another version that takes photos and videos. Alexa, show us the Echo Look.
The new Echo Look.
Its built-in lighting and depth-sensing camera lets you blur the backgrounds to make sure your outfits pop.
And taking technology to a bigger screen, the Duo computer looks like a 27-inch mirror, but it is a touchscreen with artificial intelligence.
Albert, how do I tie a bow tie?
Playing top YouTube resolve for how to tie a bow tie.
And experts say the time to start crossing some of these high-demand tech gifts off your shopping list is now.
The temptation's always there to wait till Black Friday to do your shopping because things are going to be cheaper. You're going to get great deals, which is awesome, but a lot of these do sell out really quickly.
Marcy Gonzalez, ABC News, Los Angeles.
Well, sometimes you can always resort to technology, but sometimes it can be a little pricey.
It can be pricey, so that's always the trade-off, right?
Make sure you really like the person.
And then all of a sudden it could be outdated within 6 months. So that's the other thing too with
That's
technology.
true as well, or you lose it. All right, well, we're working on some news stories for the second half of Midday, including, we're remembering those, the longtime gossip columnist Liz Smith, who worked for the New York Post. We're going to hear what Donald Trump has said about Smith's work in the past.
And also there was a scare at a Florida airport that sent passengers into a panic, but the scary moment was quickly handled by a brave TSA.
Now, from Las Vegas, this is 13 Action News live at midday.
And right now on Action News Live at midday, Carrie Underwood is recovering after falling just before she was set to perform for a Vegas benefit concert.
Also, 6-time Olympic gymnast is speaking out for the first time on the doctor she said was sexually abusing her.
But first, Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell says that Republican Senate candidate Roy Moore should, quote, step aside, and says he believes the women. Well, this is now the latest Republican leader who calls for Moore to get out of the race. However, he is denying the accusations. Well, 4 women accuse him of sexual misconduct when the women were teens.
Moore says all the charges are fake news and that he will be filing a lawsuit in response. ABC's Lana Zach has the latest now from Washington.
Roy Moore remains defiant this morning. Even if President Trump were to ask him to drop out of the race for Alabama Senate, a senior advisor to the Republican candidate says he would keep going.
Good morning, Judge Moore.
Last week, the Washington Post reported that when Moore was 32, he allegedly initiated sexual activity with a 14-year-old girl and pursued 3 others between the ages of 16 and 18. And now Teresa Jones, who worked as a deputy DA alongside Moore during the time in question, is tweeting, "It was common knowledge about Roy's propensity for teenage girls." Moore's Democratic challenger, Doug Jones, says he had no prior knowledge of the accusations and called on Moore to explain himself.
There's serious allegations that need to be addressed specifically, not just in general denial and blaming somebody else.
In Alabama, there are mixed opinions.
I believe it's something that somebody waited for an opportune moment.
But in general, Republican leaders are not coming to Moore's defense.
From my point of view, I have to say I think the accusations have more credibility than the denial. I think it would be best if Roy would just step aside.
Republican Senator Pat Toomey joining John McCain and Bob Corker in calling for Moore to withdraw immediately. 41 other Republican senators saying he should step aside if the allegations are true. In a radio interview with Sean Hannity, Moore was asked specifically about dating teenagers.
Do you remember dating girls that young at that time?
Not generally, no. If I did, I'm not going to dispute anything, but I don't remember anything like that.
And the election now is just 1 month away. Some Republicans had hoped that Alabama's governor would postpone it to buy time, but she tells ABC News it will take place as scheduled. Lana Zach, ABC News, Washington.
Yesterday was a cloudy, kind of cool finish to the weekend. Good news, the clouds have thinned, so we're going to call it partly sunny through the afternoon and temperatures several degrees warmer than they were yesterday. We should at least see high temperatures around 72, 73 degrees between 2, 3, and 4 o'clock this afternoon. And then, of course, we'll cool down fairly quickly this evening. Sunset, get this, 4:34 this afternoon, so it'll be getting pretty dark pretty quickly after that. High temperatures up to 75 degrees here in Las Vegas, also 75 in Henderson, North Las Vegas 74, Pahrump also looking at 74 degrees. Right now, our warm-up has kind of been slow today because the high clouds have been a little thicker this morning across the valley. I think they're going to thin up through the afternoon, so we will jump from the mid-60s, low 60s outside right now, back into the low and the mid-70s over the next few hours. Todd, I'm tracking some pretty strong wind later this week. I'm going to pinpoint how much wind and when it happens next.
Justin, thank you. Right now, city officials in Denton, Texas are figuring out if code violations are to blame for this right here. Take a look. This is a college party. It nearly ended in tragedy when the floor of the apartment building just suddenly collapsed. My goodness. Well, several people endured a terrifying drop into the apartment below. The party was a homecoming celebration at the University of North Texas. Witnesses say that party goers were jumping up and down when that floor just crumbled. Luckily, there were only minor injuries.
More accusations in the sexual abuse scandal rocking USA gymnastics. Now, 6-time Olympic medalist Aly Raisman has come forward.
And so she is joining some 125 other women who are now accusing the former U.S. women's gymnastics team doctor Larry Nassar of repeated sexual abuse. And ABC's Maggie Rulli has the latest.
6-time Olympic medalist Aly Raisman says it's time for her to speak out.
Society sometimes makes it hard for people to come forward because you always have people that victim shame, which we have to stop that because it's awful.
This morning, she shares her story of sexual abuse with the Today Show, accusing the former U.S. women's gymnastics team doctor Larry Nassar of repeated sexual abuse, starting when she was just 15. Adding to the growing list of more than 125 women who now say they are also victims.
I just thought he was weird, and I want people to know that I really didn't know it was happening to me. You know, he was a doctor, and he told me that his treatment would help heal all of my injuries. And I was so young, I had never really worked with another, doctor or trainer before, and everyone said he was the best.
In 2016, Raisman was getting ready to head to the Games in Rio, where she would eventually make history as part of the Final Five. Investigators started to ask her questions about Nassar's behavior. It was only then Raisman realized something was wrong.
These monsters are so good at manipulating you, so you're so brainwashed to think, I thought he was so nice.
Nassar is currently in prison after pleading guilty to possessing child pornography, but he denies the charges from these women and says he never sexually assaulted underage girls. Speaking to 60 Minutes, Raisman's family urges other parents to learn from their story.
Sit down with your kids and explain to them that predators aren't just strangers.
Now the spotlight's on USA Gymnastics. In the wake of the scandal, they've replaced the group's president and say they want to work with Aly Raisman and other athletes to make sure they're safe. Maggie Rulli, ABC News, New York.
Well, GQ magazine named its Men of the Year this morning, and on the cover is former NFL quarterback Colin Kaepernick. The magazine named him Citizen of the Year. The editors wrote that his act of kneeling during the national anthem to protest racial injustice and police brutality earned him that honor. Well, Kaepernick recently filed a grievance against NFL owners, accusing them of colluding to keep him out of the league in retaliation for his outspoken views.
Well, country singer Carrie Underwood is recovering from a broken wrist. The singer wrote the following on Twitter yesterday, saying, "Thanks so much for all the well wishes. I'll be all right. Might just take some time. Glad I've got the best hubby in the world to take care of me." Well, Underwood suffered the injuries Friday night in a fall at her Nashville area home. As a result, she pulled out of a Sunday benefit concert that was actually supposed to raise money, or did raise money actually, for the victims of the Las Vegas mass shooting, as well as victims of recent hurricanes. So we wish her a speedy recovery. Well, now to the passing of gossip legend columnist Liz Smith. She has died at age 94.
Right. Well, Liz, of course, chronicled the lives of the rich and famous for decades in New York's tabloids, including now President Donald Trump. She worked for the Daily News as a gossip columnist. Liz was an insider, becoming a legend like the people she wrote about.
Liz has been fair. I can understand why she's been on Ivana's side. Ivana's a good woman.
He wrote me a letter the other day saying, "Liz, you crucified me for a whole year, but you're terrific."
Well, Liz Smith died Sunday at the age of 94.
Well, in today's Healthy Living Report, a stranger is more likely to give a man CPR than a woman, and that's according to a new study. The study found people gave strange men CPR for cardiac arrest in public 45% of the time. That number was 39% for women. Experts say their best guess is that people are kind of reluctant to take a woman's shirt off, touch her chest, even if it does save her life. A little bit more cautious, so just a difference there of about 6%.
All right, well, how about this? Instead of adding fries to your next fast food order, you might want to consider just adding a second burger instead. Well, dietitian Emily Field says the additional burger will tack on roughly the same amount of calories, but with a whole lot more protein. So she shared this with Business Insider. Well, Field believes that this approach is better because it balances fat, carbs, and protein rather than just ingesting the empty calories from fries alone. Okay, 2 burgers instead of fries. Okay, then take a big nap. All right, now from Contact 13, there is a new online scam targeting Google users. Scammers are changing numbers of business listings. A woman says that she is now out some $400 because of this. Courtney Pearson says that she Googled washing machine repairman. Well, then she scheduled an appointment with a company. Workers showed up in an unmarked van and replaced a valve. But then soon after that, Courtney realized that her washer was still broken.
thought this was for sure somebody who was going to take care of me.
Well, it turns out those workers were not from the business Courtney had Googled. Well, Google business listings do have an option for people to edit, so that allows almost anyone essentially to change the contact information that you see. Well, Google says that businesses can register to receive an email anytime their contact information has been changed. The problem obviously being is it's hard for users to know if that is happening.
Well, overnight, all roads reopened after the Rock and Roll Marathon on the Strip. It was a busy night.
Yeah, talking about tens of thousands of people here running. They had all kinds of options. They could run the 5K, 10K, half marathon, or full marathon. As you can imagine, you see there, security was tighter than ever. Police had buses blocking some intersections. So police officers also were carrying rifles. But runners said this race felt a little bit different than years prior, certainly a lot more emotional.
We took a moment of silence as we were running, just to remember those who were lost, you know, and it touches everybody. It's a sign of freedom. Honestly, it wasn't intimidating or anything, it was a sign of freedom.
And for 2 miles, runners ran in silence when they passed the 1 October site near Mandalay Bay. All right, here's a look at some of the results on the women's side of things. Marissa Hurd of Illinois came in with the fastest time for the women at 2 hours and 55 minutes and 19 seconds. Congratulations to her. Now let's go to the men here. We'll see their lists are concerned. Giles Rubio of France had the fastest time for 2 hours, 38 minutes and 4 seconds. That's an amazing time. Congratulations to them, and congratulations to all the runners out there who are waking up this morning really sore, really tired, but I'm sure feeling very accomplished.
That's right, including our own David Schumann. He ran the half marathon yesterday. Just saw him in the newsroom. He's here. You know, he finished with a great time, just 1 hour and 54 minutes. We are certainly proud of him. Like I said, he showed up to work today, and he told me he placed a little $100 bet with one of our photographers that he could finish under 2 hours.
He did it.
And he did. I don't condone betting, but I'm just saying somebody in the newsroom owes David some cash.
Nothing wrong, perhaps, with a little friendly wager.
Yeah, a little friendly wager. So
David.
he did it. Good for him. Well, it was a scare that no passenger was prepared for.
Yeah, but one TSA agent jumped in when everyone was running away. The exploding battery that happened at one airport, that is coming up next.
And here's a live look at the New York Stock Exchange. The Dow's up 29 points. You want to bet?
No, I don't want to bet it.
Calm conditions this afternoon, but this evening we'll see a few 20-mile-per-hour gusts from Summerlin down to the Southern Highlands. But some stronger wind to time out later this week. Pretty impressive wind gusts. Also, just getting word of an earthquake in California. I'll tell you how strong and where it happened after this.
Well, a smoking package caused quite a scare at the Orlando airport.
Yeah, well, it left passengers shaken and it caused long delays. And Clay Leopard now has the story.
I heard people yelling.
Surveillance video shows us the moments right after a lithium battery exploded inside one passenger's bag just outside this security checkpoint.
I was so close to the bag, I figured, let me get it out of the way.
Ricardo Perez is the TSA agent who grabbed that bag.
There was folks all over. The bag started smoking. I approached it. I radioed. Then I picked up the bag and brought it to where that wheelchair sign is right there in between the pillars, in hopes that if it did go off, it would be some of the shock, and if there's anything in it, would be absorbed by the pillar and the concrete post.
Perez felt compelled to join TSA after what happened on September 11th.
I lost a few friends. TSA became available, and I figured that was the way for me to serve my country again.
A letter released today from the CEO of the Greater Orlando Aviation Authority details how and why security responded the way they did after that lithium battery exploded inside a bag. As a result of all the chaos Friday evening, every passenger who was on a plane sitting on the tarmac, waiting at the gate, or just in the terminal had to go through airport screening again. That's where the hours and hours of delays came into play. Some planes struggled to get gate space during all this, and more than 20 flights were canceled. A small price to what could have been.
A lot relieved that it wasn't a worst case scenario, because it could have been, and there would have been a lot of people hurt.
And that was Clay Leopard reporting there. Phil Brown, the CEO of the Greater Orlando Aviation Authority, issued a statement thanking the public for their patience during that situation. But luckily, everyone's okay.
All right, Mr.